Let's update you now on a developing story out of Hong Kong. We are hearing reports that leader Carrie Lam is to formally withdraw a proposed extradition bill that has sparked 3 months of protests. The stock market there has surged on the news. This bill would have allowed Hong Kong citizens to be sent to mainland China to face trial. And in the last few minutes, other news coming out of Hong Kong as well is that Cathay Pacific, the airline, have announced that its chairman, John Slosar, has resigned. Now, you'll know that Cathay Pacific has been caught up in the protest when some of its staff were fired for supporting them. Let's take you straight to Steve McDonell, who joins me now from Hong Kong. Firstly, to this news that Carrie Lam is going to be potentially withdrawing the extradition bill. Is that for sure, Steve? Do we know?
Well, it's not for sure, but a lot of people think that is what's going to happen. There are a lot of leaks coming out of the government. Carrie Lam is having a meeting with the pro-Beijing camp in the Legislative Council and also members, Hong Kong members of the National People's Congress. That's the Chinese Parliament. And after that meeting, she's expected to come out and make an announcement that this bill is now officially dead. Now, if that is the case, if it's completely withdrawn, this will be a humiliating back down for her administration and also for Beijing. It's been one of the key demands of the protest movement, and it's seen as something of an olive branch, an attempt to try and take the heat out of this crisis, which now in its third month is seeing these regular violent street clashes between radicalised protesters and riot police. The problem, though, is that the longer this is taken to solve, the broader the protester demands have become. And so already on these chat rooms, the pro-democracy activists are saying, well, will this be enough for us? After all, this is only one of our 5 demands now. Other things they want is an inquiry, an independent inquiry into alleged police links with organised crime and police behaviour. This is something that the government said it won't do. They want universal suffrage. Now, of course, that's a long way down the track. It would take quite something for Beijing to agree to that. However, this was what started it. This whole movement started because of this opposition to this very unpopular extradition bill allowing for people to be sent potentially to courts on the mainland controlled by the Communist Party.
And briefly, Steve, I have to ask you, before we let you go, about this news from Cathay Pacific, was the chairman pushed out, or how's it being seen?
Oh, well, Cathay's chairman follows Cathay's CEO. Both have now gone. This airline has been caught up in the political crisis here. Mainland Chinese media has accused Cathay of allowing its staff to be involved in the pro-democracy movement, and certainly many of them have been. I mean, we've seen those protests at the airport and flight crews are there participating. However, initially, at least, those were legal protests, and the airline would say, well, we're not opposing people's right to freedom of speech. However, given these threats from aviation officials that Cathay flights wouldn't be able to cross mainland Chinese airspace, wouldn't be able to land if any crew members were seen to have been involved in certain protest activity here, well, that faced an enormous crisis for the airline. They've sacked many staff, and the chairman has now joined the CEO in leaving Cathay Pacific.
Steve, thank you so much for updating us from Hong Kong.